I need a Bhagavad Gita. Yamuna Tira Vanacha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. This one's working now. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam. You don't have a verse up today? No? No verse up today. Om Gyana, now it's back. Om Gyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksuramilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sajjajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sijivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Cha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Ayane Prabhave Namaha Namaste Gauravani Shrimurtaye Dina Tarane Rupanuga Viruda Apasadanta Dvanta Harane Namo Gorkishoraya Satchit Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambode Padambujaya Te Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchitananda Namane Gora Karuna Shakti Rupanuga Varayate Gauravir Bhave Bhume Stram Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhoma Jagannathaya Te Namaha Pancha Kalpa Dhruvyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahabharanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gora Tvishe Namaha Panchatatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Suratopangor Mama Mandir Matergati Matsarvasya Padambojo Shri Shri Radha Madana Mohano Divyat Kalpadrumada Shiman Ratnagara Singhasanasto Shri Shri Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prestalivi Savyamano Smarami Shiman Rasa Rasarambi Vangsi Vata Tatastita Karshan Venu Sanar Gopi Gopinatha Shri Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Krishna Tadiya Padapam Tajapan Ajaiva me visatu manasaraja hansan prana prayama samaye kapavata pittai kantavaro danavido smaranam kutaske mukam karoti vachalam kangam langayate gurim tat kripa tamaham bande shri gurundina tarine. So we're supposed to speak on Prabhupada leadership. Right? First place, he didn't call himself a leader, didn't think of himself as a leader. He thought of himself as a follower. In order to be a leader, you have to be a follower. Leaders that don't have followers, so-called leaders that aren't following anybody, they don't know where to go. So the people may follow them. And it's interesting, I've said this many times in this country, that leaders should have followers. That's a sign that someone is a leader, right? And yesterday, Yoga Prabhu sent one little African proverb. It said if someone thinks he's a leader but he doesn't have any followers, he's just going for a walk. I'm a leader of what, right? Leaders have followers. Sometimes they're not. Whose phone is ringing? You have to pay 10,000 naira fine. Should put a sign like in London. There's a sign on the door. If your phone rings in the class, you have to pay 10 pounds. Right?
Yes.
I don't know what it is if you jump up and start talking like some of the Indians do.
Yeah, 100.
So Prabhupada was an example, and he attracted many followers because somehow he wanted to be like him. But this is a point. Krishna says, Yad yada charati shestas tat tadavetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tad anavartate. Everybody knows that. Anybody can repeat it? Huh? One person can? That's Bhagavad Gita. We're supposed to know the Bhagavad Gita. You know it, right? Yad yada charati shestas. Yad yada charati shestas. Tad tad ivetaro janaha. Whatever actions a great man does, the common men follow. So we have many people that are in positions that, people think they're big and they follow, but they're doing bad things. Prabhupada did everything good. So Krishna says then that I don't have to work. He's the Supreme Personality of God. He doesn't have to work. We have to work. We have to work to maintain the body, but Krishna doesn't have to. But he does anyway, because if he didn't work, nobody would work. Then the world would come to ruination. They'd just look and say, well, Krishna doesn't work, why should I work? Right? He was remembering Prabhupada and how he inspired him. He said, well, he was always saying to chant, and he was always chanting. He was always humble. He kept saying he was humble, even though he was, the big scholar in the world. And gradually had become, very famous and had so many dedicated followers. He never acted like that. Prabhupada never said, I am the guru, you have to do what I say. He just inspired everybody. So that's the thing. In the Bhagavatam, in the 6th canto, there's almost the same verse. Yad yada charati shreya itaras tad tad ihate sayat pramanam kurute lokas tad anavartate. So only a few words are different. Yat means whatever. And acharyati means executes, it does. Acharya means one who teaches by example. What I say what to do very much. He just showed the way. He showed people how to act. That famous Stephen Covey, what is the 7 habits of? What's the name of it? Huh? Of what? Successful leaders, yeah. So in his teacher course, he used Prabhupada's life as an example of a perfect leader. There's many, like for instance, cleaning the floor. Now, unfortunately, I've never seen anybody follow this system. But they were cleaning the floor once, and Prabhupada said, "Let me show you." And he got down on his knees. He asked for 2 buckets, one with clean water and one empty one, and a cloth. He taught how to serve by just serving. In the early days, Prabhupada just did everything. He never asked anybody to help him. He just asked everybody to chant. The stories are that, he would cook, and all the devotees would come and eat in his apartment. And numbers were nothing spectacular, but 12, 15 people, that's a lot of cooking. He would serve personally. Keep telling me, eat more, eat more. And then they would go off to wherever they were. So one devotee, I think his name was Madhusudana, he was late one day, so he was eating, and he saw Prabhupada in the kitchen cleaning up. So he went in the kitchen and started helping, and Prabhupada said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, I thought I'd help you clean the kitchen." Prabhupada said, "Oh, thank you. I was praying to Radharani somebody would help me." But he never asked. He just said, "Eat more, take more." So he was teaching. Gradually devotees thought, "Well, I should do that also." But then many of our become so-called leaders, and then everybody served me. Prabhupada never did that. He was always serving everybody. Gradually they realized we should serve him. Umapati said, we never thought he needed any help. He never, he was never frustrated or anything. He just did everything himself. He cooked feast for, when they had that first big one, in Mukunda's wedding, Prabhupada cooked for 80 people or something, cooked 10 different things. And Jamuna was watching, and she couldn't believe it. And she was brand new, she'd never been there before. And Prabhupada taught her to make samosas or something. And she saw him just cook all these things and cut up and do everything himself and have the kitchen clean at the end, and never seemed tired about it. So that teaching by example. It says, yet, whatever a first-class man with full knowledge of religious principles. So this is talking about special people, but Ittara, the subordinate man, tat that, ihate performs, sa, the great man, yet whatever, pramanam, as evidence or as the right thing, kurute, accepts, loka, the general public, tat, that, anuvartate, follows. The mass of people follow the example of the leader in society and imitate his behavior. They accept his evidence, whatever the leader accepts. And that's the basic principle. So if we want to be leaders, we have to know, we have to be following and know where we're going. Otherwise, the blind leading the blind. The blind man can be the leader, the other man's following him, but they don't know where they're going. Follow me, but where? Where are you going? But people follow if the man is supposed to be big, he's supposed to be great, if he's the president, if he's the pastor, if he's the father or the teacher. And then gradually we've seen so much, that nobody respects anybody. But they end up following then somebody that looks like, somebody gets rich, okay, let's do what he does. And so there's so much bad examples. Prabhupada is a perfect example, and he very kindly lived with us for 10 years, very intimately, and allowed, so much to be recorded. More and more books are coming, to find out more and more of Prabhupada's little life, how he lived. At the Kumbh Mela, for instance, it's in January, very cold, and the devotees, that was in 1971, And many devotees weren't getting up earlier, and if they did, they weren't taking bath because it was very, very cold, like almost freezing, 0, and only cold water. So when Prabhupada noticed that, because he was up, he'd get up very early to translate. He went outside early in the morning and got under the pump and took bath. He never said anything. He just did that, and then the devotees saw that, and then everybody started taking bath. Everybody started getting up. He never said, "You stupid, you have to get up. What's wrong? You're in Maya." He just showed. There's several, but one, he came to New York, and New York is kind of central in Eastern America, and so Prabhupada is coming, so devotees came from all around. There were hundreds of devotees, and everybody's, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was near the door, and he saw one Mataji with a baby coming, and, in trouble. Prabhupada opened the door, held the door open for him. He wasn't thinking, come on, I'm the big man here. Everybody's, get out of my way. He was thinking this to help this devotee. So that's what inspired everybody. That was the leadership power that inspired everybody. That he was humble, genuinely humble. He wasn't thinking, I'll show everybody. He just naturally did these things perfectly. So devotees wanted to follow. So he collected in a very short time so many followers. Another story, like in Mayapur, Malati tells him, she was cooking for Prabhupada. It was very, very difficult. At those days in Mayapur, they lived in that hut, and she's a woman, and the men that were in charge, they were not very, even though she was cooking for Prabhupada, she had a hard time to get the money and the boga and so many things. And she had to go to Navadvip or something and then try to cook. And Prabhupada was always chastising. And so one time he had several of his godbrothers there. So she came in to serve, and she felt so embarrassed. There's a room full of sannyasis, and she pulled her sari, and she was crawling, and trying not to look at anybody, and trying to serve. And Prabhupada said, "She's cooking for me, and all I do is chastise her. But she would slit her throat for me." And he said, "And I would do the same for her." So the godbrothers were like, yeah. And she felt good. But that was the thing, and I just, something I'll play in the next later, but there's so many people now, giving seminars about leadership. Thing is, where are they going? Right? They know all the techniques, they know the mentality, they're very smart, So we can learn something. But the techniques alone are not going to get us anywhere. The great leaders, they actually have these qualities. But there are many great leaders, people that do things. So he said he was asking one guy who had risked his life in the military, to help other men. And he said, "Why do you do that?" He said, "Well, they would do it for me." So they always answer like that. They would do it for me, so I'd do it for them. They feel connected like that. So the leader want to be leading, to the right. So we knew Prabhupada was leading us to Krishna. And people still know that. He's with Krishna. You follow him, you're going to get to Krishna. Prabhupada told us to just do what I do, just stick with follow me, I'll get you there. But everybody can understand because he's always talking, talk about Krishna, he's always talking about Krishna. So he's taught by the perfect example, Acharya. There's different levels of Acharya. Very few can be only one can ever be the founder Acharya. Others can be Acharya of a mutt, Acharya of an institution, not necessarily the founder, but the next Acharya. There has to be someone who just makes disciples. It's also an Acharya. Anyone who is acting, is an Acharya. Everybody has somebody following. If you're a mother, your children, they learn from what you do, right? Like I was saying, my mother. But she did many good things, so I learned those things. Sometimes it's hard to do this. Sometimes I tell people, I said, my mother would be very angry, because she always said, open the door for women and, get up, be polite to the ladies and be a gentleman. But the women don't let us do that now. So they grab my bags and carry them up the stairs, especially in China. They won't let you do anything. But, there's certain things, that we're supposed to do just to be human beings, be gentlemen, be civilized. One is to be simple living. Prabhupada lived very simply. In the very beginning, he had absolutely nothing, and but nobody, they didn't think, well, why should we listen to him? He's in a tiny little room. His desk is just a steel trunk from India, and his seat is his chudder. He's not successful, because the other swamis that came, they had big plays with big chairs. Right? I mentioned that when it was in a different class, but we had a quote from Helen Keller. She was saying that you don't get character development by easy life. Then I remembered one purport that I always remember. Prabhupada said the Bhagavad Gita is not for armchair philosophers, because there was a Vedanta society in New York, and they had a nice place in the upper side, and they sat in big chairs and they discussed philosophy, Vedanta. Prabhupada was on the Lower East Side, very poor people, immigrants, and hippies, and drug addicts. And the Lower East Side's come up now. Now it wouldn't be hard to understand if you see it now compared to what it was even 10 years ago. Like the Bowery now is all big, high-class apartments and expensive shops, and it's changed a lot. But he was living there with nothing. But they respected him so much because he was so humble, and he spoke such great wisdom. And he was so respectful to everyone, because Krishna is in everybody's heart. So we should study his life. He kindly let it be recorded. And more books are coming. Shyamasundar Prabhu's book just came. Finally is available. I'll have to order some book. So, he was with Prabhupada so much. And, they were so inspired. But what everybody remembers, they don't remember he was so powerful, or he was such a big man, or that he was so humble. He was so kind. He didn't just say be kind, but he himself wasn't kind. He never said, bow down to me, right? Bow down to Krishna. Krishna says, bow down to me. So many Mayavadis, they say, bow down to me. And they don't stick with the Guru. Prabhupada taught in many, many ways. He was so friendly with everybody. On one morning walk I was on in L.A., we came to a little bit down slope. So Babananda, he held out his arm. Prabhupada held onto his arm so he wouldn't fall. And at the bottom, Prabhupada just pushed him really hard, just almost knocked him over. And he went, what? You know. And then Prabhupada laughed. He said, that is Mayavadi. They take shelter of the Guru, but then they become God, they throw the Guru out. They don't care for the Guru anymore. Right? So sometimes somebody serves a leader, you know, and they're very humble and nice, and then they become, finally get the position, and then they become very nasty. We don't want to be a leader like Ravana. That was one movie I saw, Ramayana. Ravana, over and over again, Hum Lankaraj, Hum Lankaraj, I'm the king of Lanka. And we read in Ramayana, he called all his ministers, you know, this army's coming, what should we do? And before he asked them, he gave a speech how a king will always consult his ministers and he'll always listen to the ministers. And then he said, okay, now what should we do? And they said, you should give Sita back. You can't tell me what to do. I'm the king. The duty of the ministers is to do what I tell you. Right? You can't take any advice. But Prabhupada took advice. You know, he would ask. You know. But he gave so much guidance. But you know, anybody who followed, we'd see that he was right. So gradually, you know, people became not blind followers, but they learned little things. Like he was sending letters back to India, so he would cut the end of the envelope half, so you could look inside. So a devotee brought it back, Prabhupada, this envelope is no good. Can't send it. He said, no. He said, when it gets to India from America, they're going to open it to see if there's money in it. So I open a window there so they can, because after they rip it open to find out there's no money, they just throw it away. So then devotees, okay. He said, everything I do is perfect. And he taught, you know, very amazingly by example. When we were there in 75 in the temple opening, it was a total mess all around, outside especially. Inside was pretty much finished, the altars were finished, but outside was just a mess. And he came out for his walk, and you know, the gate wasn't... He got down with his cane and he was measuring and, you know, telling him how to fix the gate, do like this, but he actually, you know, measured it and said, you know, how it fit and how to fix everything. And he just so friendly, that walk, maybe it was a different day, but every day, somehow I was able to follow along that year. I just went, and some big sannyasi said, who's that? He's a book distributor. Oh, okay, you know, because they knew the book distributors Prabhupada liked this. And I was at that time, you know, pretty good at it. So out in the front, the devotees had built this, sometimes you still see in India, it's a tiny shop, and the top just folds down, and then it folds up at night. So they were thinking devotees could put shops out there. So different people moved in, rickshaw wallahs and stuff. So every morning Prabhupada is telling temple president, get rid of those people. And they didn't. So after a few days he just stopped right in front and he said, why are they still here? And the temple president said, well, I told so-and-so to get rid of them. I told you! He said, you stupid, how can I have a movement with idiots like you? You can't be, you know, you can't be a temple president. It was like, wow, I was like, you know, I was hiding, so I was thinking, I gotta get it, you know. The ground was shaking, and the temple president, you know, I asked him years later, I said, you were? He said, yeah, I had many incidents like that. That was his relationship with Prabhupada. But immediately he started walking, and he turned to Tamal Krishna, he said, You see the moon? He said, you want to hear what I think about the moon? I said, yeah. He said, I say the moon is hot fire, but it's got a cold atmosphere. Therefore, the moonlight is cooling. What do the scientists think about that? So, Tamal Krishna Maharaj always did those kind of things. So he said, well, they say it's reflecting the sun, and that's why it's glowing. So I don't remember everything, but Prabhupada looked at the road. At that time, it was a dirt road, you know, the road in front of the temple that now is a double-lane highway. You know, it was a dirt road, and there was no cars ever. A few farmers once in a while. And Prabhupada said, why isn't this glowing? Interesting, right? If the moon is all dust, you know, and it's glowing so bright, then why isn't the dust on earth glowing like the sun shining? Anyway, I don't know, he said so many things that the scientists say, and then Prabhupada looked at him and said, why aren't you glowing? So, but he wasn't really angry when he would, but he exhibited that anger to make a point. Although Prabhupada said, my anger is different than Krishna's when I get overwhelmed by it. But like when we get angry, we get overwhelmed and we get shaking for days afterward, and we can't forget about it, and we get liver disease and kidney disease. But Prabhupada would exhibit, anger like that to make the point. But then sometimes he'd even apologize. So he was teaching, by example. One time the secretary in Mayapur, he had the room next to Prabhupada, and somebody had moved the bed, those big heavy beds. So he tried to move it and it went, "Ah!" And Prabhupada kept running in the room. What is that? And he said, well, I was moving the bed. You were moving the bed for your own sense gratification, you rascal. And he was... And then he came back 10 minutes later and said, I'm sorry, It's an old man, we get disturbed too easily. I'm sorry I shot you. So many ways he would, but everything mostly by example. Cooking. He taught so many devotees to cook, but just watch him. He never said very, and in the kitchen he didn't say almost anything. You just watch him. And sometimes he'd give recipes and he would make comments. He read his own books. He told us to read the books, but he read them also. And he said, Krishna, I want to see what Krishna has written. And he said, no, I didn't write this. Krishna is writing. So, but he read them, he relished it. I saw it in the garden one night in Los Angeles. Many times he would just have somebody read Krishna book, and there'd be devotees there, and sometimes I saw even Prabhupada, just his servant, reading to him Krishna book. And so they're reading about Dvivida gorilla, and in the middle of the garden there was a little pond, and so he was reading how Dvivida gorilla would go in the ocean and make tidal waves, make tsunamis. Prabhupada he said, oh, ocean. And he said, just like we can mix up that pond and make the water go all over the place. He said, the whole ocean. So, he relished all these things. So we're very fortunate to have, now there's so many things. He had to teach everything. He taught us how to cut oranges, how to pass stool, how to clean afterwards with water, like, what is it, did Yoruba do that?
Africans, yes.
Well, not all Africans, Now they like toilet paper. It's a big item to sell on the road, but traditionally they have it. They use water. Everybody does. He taught us, to live very simply. He lived very simply. He did everything he said. Like George Harrison said, he chanted. He told us to chant. He was always chanting. He said, read the books. He was reading them. Obviously, he studied very much. He chanted and say like kirtan. When Prabhupada would lead kirtan, everybody would chant. When Prabhupada would dance, everybody would dance. I can show the movies later. I had somebody collect them actually for me, because now everybody dances. Prabhupada always hands up. And he said, put your hands up. So we should dance like this. Lord Chaitanya, look at the Panchatattva, have their hands up, so we should dance like this. And he always did. When he got older and weaker, then he came every day to greet the deities. Sometimes on the morning walk, they'd say, well, Prabhupada, we can go a little more. He'd say, no, I can't keep Krishna waiting. Get back from him. He would be there to greet the deities. One time I was helping on the altar, and that day there was a lot of flowers or something, and it was a big mess. In front of Gaur Nitai, 3 altars, there was all the flowers, sticks, and everything, and it was time. So everybody went, and Prabhupada, it went over time, and Prabhupada knocked on the door. And Jayatira said, Prabhupada! And he just took a broom and pushed everything over in front of Radha Krishna and opened the Gaur Nitai door. Prabhupada paid obeisances and then pushed it off the other end. But he just knocked on the door, So, but he was always there to greet the deity. Later I saw one of the next acharyas, so-called. And, they have that, there's something in, I think, Nectar Devotion now. Prabhupada, they went to somebody's house and he said he can't come out, he's doing his puja. And Prabhupada said he should stop the puja for, when the sadhus come. But that was at home, But, so some of the next gurus, they would call up, wait for me, I'm busy now. Sometimes 40 minutes. I said, what are they doing? We were, but Prabhupada never ever thought, he said, I have to be there for Krishna, it's time. So, we should try to do that also. Everybody was there, everybody followed Prabhupada, everybody was there, everybody paid obeisances, everybody, followed Prabhupada around. He did everything like that. So many things. Everything he did. So people noticed, and then, they wanted to imitate. And he was aware of that. One time Gargamuni gave him one of those tulsi with the silver in a necklace. So he put it on. And then after a few days he noticed so many devotees had that. He took it off. He said, everybody's imitating. We shouldn't, this is not proper, And now we see this very common. Where's your neck piece? Oh, I have. I have this necklace, and they're all covered with tulsi. They're dyed black, and they're covered with silver. And you can't see tulsi. They don't touch tulsi. And it's not on the neck, right? He said the neck beads should be tight. It should be on the neck. It's called Kanti Mala. He stated that very strongly. When his servant Nanda Kumar one time, he came in front of Prabhupada without neck beads. And Prabhupada said, where's your neck beads? He said, well, they're broke, I have to fit. Prabhupada said, if you knew how important that was, you wouldn't go 1 minute without them. So And he always had them, you know, he always did everything exactly right. And he noted everything everybody else was doing. So on the airplane, you know, they come with the drinks. And they, you know, it's not very nice. So one time he said I could have this 7-Up, you know. That's just sugar, right? Water. So then the servant said Prabhupada likes 7-Up. The Bhaktivedanta Manor even had a 7-Up machine. That devotees would walk around with this 7-Up, Prabhupada likes it. So then Prabhupada said, I won't drink it anymore. He would stop things right away. He knew they're going to follow him, you know. So he did everything that we could, you know, just he did it right. He followed Ekadasi, but he didn't do fanatic Nirjala or something where, because if everybody tried to imitate that, they'd have big trouble. But he was very careful to note, like, you know, that everybody's going to follow him. But nowadays people are following, you know, in the material world, so many bad examples. They actually look to the bad examples. So we need to focus on Prabhupada. We need to, and all the great acharyas, but Prabhupada especially, you know, he didn't just give us a lot of books or something. He lived the books and he let it all be recorded. And there's not so much movies, but there's quite a few. And they're very, very important to watch, you know. And like the one we have, Yadubar Prabhu, he collected all the archive, all the films they had that weren't already published. And then he went around the world and he interviewed devotees who were there during, you know, whatever the event was. And they would tell their version of what was happening or what they saw Prabhupada doing. And very, very educational. We have so much chance to, if you want to learn anything. Like we had that book, Jamuna, you know, Life. And that book is mostly her journal. She very carefully noted down everything every day. So it's not about her at all, it's all Prabhupada. Because Prabhupada was teaching her, so much time he spent with her, teaching deity worship and teaching so many things. And, you know, and some of the stuff is things that nobody ever heard before. Because she was thinking it would be false ego, you know, to show my diary and show Prabhupada's. So she didn't know if she should publish it or not. But finally, before she left, she said it should be published. And somebody else did it. But so much information, so many devotees. Sometimes they'd only with Prabhupada a few minutes, but they learned so much. So, kirtan. I wish more devotees now would listen to Prabhupada's kirtan. We have quite a few recordings. We kept it very simple. Even though George Harrison said he was the best musician in the world, Prabhupada was. His kirtan was very simple. Very clear. Just the Mahamantra, no fancy things. But everybody joined in. And everybody went wild. And he danced. When I was there, we saw yesterday a little bit in that movie, in 1974 in the Rath Yatra in San Francisco. And Prabhupada walked to the edge of the stage. There were 10,000 people. And Prabhupada, he was throwing flowers out. And then all of a sudden he just started jumping. And everybody, I looked out and everybody was jumping. Everybody had their hands in the air. There was 10,000 people. He never had to tell anybody to do it. He just did it. And everybody would just follow. But he prayed. He wanted everybody to follow. He was showing. People joined him. People surrendered. People, gave their life. Prabhupada was always preaching. Prabhupada, risked everything to come to America. So he could send devotees and tell them, go somewhere and preach, and they would. No questions asked. Because he knew he did it. So we want to try to be followers, Prabhupada Nugas, Rupa Nugas, all the great acharyas, but Prabhupada especially, we know the details of his life, Others we don't have that much information, but he lived with us in this modern age. He really did, amazing tapasya, and he fought, to get what was rightfully his. Like the Bombay Temple land that you own. He had seen that land when he was staying there in Sumati Maharaj's place. When he would come out to go to the bus, he said that would be a good place for a temple. At that time it was just a rat hole. And Juhu area, except for some rich people on the beach, was just dacoits, a completely undeveloped place. So even when the devotees couldn't understand why the Prabhupada wants a temple here, they thought it's much better in Malabar Hill, living in the rich man's apartments. Prabhupada, he knew. But he had to fight like anything. The devotees gave up the fight at one point. The lawyer told him, you'll never get this land, and even if you get it, no one will ever come here for it. So they said, okay, and they signed it off. Prabhupada somehow got it back. He got the lawyers again. He told the lawyers step by step what to do. He was proving that he didn't have education in law, but he knew exactly what to do. Same thing in New York when they got cheated. They got the money back. There was no way he got it back. So he told the devotees again and again, don't give the money until you get a contract. And this guy said, that's in India, but here America's different. Your Swamiji, His Highness, he doesn't know what he's saying. He doesn't know America, and the devotees got bewildered. They had arguments amongst themselves, Swamiji said, don't give it, no, but we have to give it or we're going to lose the place. And they gave it. And Prabhupada knew when Brahmananda called him on the phone to tell him. And when Prabhupada answered the phone, he was in Los Angeles, he said, first he just said right away, you lost the money. He didn't, before he'd tell him what happened. Sukhasova was guiding him. So we can't imitate, such people. But we can try to follow. And everybody's inspired, they want to, they want to be like Prabhupada, right? Did you sing that song in children's song, I want to be like Jesus? Huh? You had that song? Lord, I want to be like Jesus in my heart. Right? You had that one? So we sang that when we were children. And then when we were hippies and they criticized, we said, no, we're like Jesus. Because all the pictures of Jesus have long hair. And he didn't care for money. And we didn't know much about Jesus. But we should want to be like Prabhupada, But that means totally absorbed in Krishna, thinking only how to serve Krishna. And then that will inspire, Then our movement can go on. If we always think I'm a follower, I'm a servant of the servant of the servant. Prabhupada always thought like that. He's a servant of his guru. And give all credit. We can try to follow that example. Be a servant. Think of yourself. No real leader says, I'm the leader, right? I am the leader, right? I'm leader. I'm Vankaraj. So I'm the servant. I was just talking with Kadamba Kanna Maharaj. He was saying how the current GBC he had in one place. Says, I'm the GBC, so whatever I say, that should be the way it is. And he was saying how another GBC they had before, he would say the scripture says like this and the scripture says like that, therefore we should do that. And everybody would think, okay. But when someone says, I'm the leader, do what I say, everybody wants to say, no way. Right? You want to rebel. It's natural. So if we're trying to be, I'm the leader, we find that we don't have any followers. We just have revolutionaries, criticizers, someone trying to knock us out so they can be the leader. So if we think like Prabhupada, I'm the servant, servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, then everything will be all right. So then remember that, people follow mothers and whoever you are, leader, father, teacher, right? That somebody's watching you, somebody's going to follow, do what you do. So do it right. The devotees here in the ashram, you should go to Chopati and learn. The brahmacharis there, they sleep on this kind of mat, right? These are plastic. You sleep on plastic ones or straw mat. And they're all boys, mostly coming from rich families in India. Most of them have master's degree and can have very high-paying jobs and have a big house with beds and air conditioners and everything. But they sleep on the straw mats. And they keep making more and more devotees. Many have quit big jobs, join the ashram. One told me, I had a big company, I gave it to my brother, I'm joining the ashram. He said. And that's for life. But here I see big mattress that I can smell it from the other side, It's not funny, but you should go there and follow their example. Then you can clean up it much better. So, Prabhupada kept a very simple life. No matter how much he became so big and so much money, he just constantly just telling how to open more temples, publish more books, and giving money to help projects get started. And he always lived the same basic, simple life, eating the same way, sleeping very little, dressing the same way. So study the Lilamrita very carefully for inspiration. Everything is there. How he dealt with so many different situations, with demons, with, like that Bombay land. The guy was a big demon, trying to cheat. He had been trying to cheat. He had cheated many people already for that land. And Prabhupada said, I thought I was getting a good deal. He's giving it so cheap. And he thought he's getting a good deal. This stupid Swami's going to give me this money. I'll just keep the down payments. He gave a small down payment. But he also made a contract, and Prabhupada just wouldn't give up. Everyone else gave up. The other people that got cheap. Finally, that man had a heart attack. And Prabhupada said, I was praying to Lord Nrsingadev. And then his wife took over, and she also fought. And finally Prabhupada won. She gave up, and then she came crying and apologizing, and Prabhupada said, that's all right, you're like my daughter or something. She had made so much trouble. And the way he got Mr. Nair to sign off, he called Mr. Nair to come and meet him. And Mr. Nair was afraid that Prabhupada had mystic power, so he brought his guru. And they were, they had prasadam and they were talking. And then the guru said, Swamiji, I think you're tired, you should take rest. So and then Prabhupada called Tamal Krishna after. He said, when somebody says, you look tired, it means they're tired. So go get Mr. Nair, but don't wake up the guru. So they brought Mr. Nair in, and Prabhupada bewildered him and got him to did everything. And when he contracted in Dai Nippon Company in Japan, one of the biggest printing companies in the world, and at that time, Japan was just getting into the world market, and they're very smart. So the way they deal with customers, they have a round table. There'd be like 10 Japanese executives. They've studied very carefully the person they're dealing with. And then they come in by himself, Paul came with Karandra, Prabhupada came. So they're all, looking, but they had great respect for Prabhupada, but they wanted his business. They thought he was going to be big. And so Prabhupada asked for some price, and they said, no way, there's no way we can give that price. And they tried to explain everything. So after a while, Prabhupada excused. He said, I have to go for the restaurant. And then it was Tamal Krishna. And he said, after Prabhupada went out, he said, my guru, actually, he can't afford that price, really. And it should be, he went a really low price. It should be this really low price. And they went wild. They were just going completely berserk, that that's impossible. And Prabhupada came back and he said, what's going on here? And he said, well, this guy, he says it should be like, And Prabhupada said, oh, he's this young, stupid boy, don't have to listen to him. And he gave a price halfway in between. They said, okay. So he taught by example. And we are teaching by example. Whatever we think, people follow our example. So, do what you say, whatever it is. Say the right thing and do the right thing. And Krishna, more people will follow. They'll do the same thing. You go out and preach, they'll go out and preach. All right? Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we follow Kavi's order. Go right away for Prasad so we can be on time. Because it's about 15 minutes walk to the place. Around. If you walk even a little fast. So that means leave here by 9:40 at the latest. But, we got to get in there and sit down and everything. Take prasadam right away and, chew it. Don't just, because then you'll fall asleep during the classes. Don't eat too much, but finish up and get out of here. All right? Because there'll be very interesting classes on spiritual subject matter. All right? You'll learn a new word, swadhyaya. You might not know what that is. We'll learn what it is. Yad yad acharati shestas tad tadiveta rodhana. Yat pramanam kurute lokas tad anuvartate. Jai. Hare Krishna. And the glow worked. Only turned off a couple of times. Where's Devarshi? Is he here? Devarshi joins on yeah? Maybe he's upstairs.
Devarish, I don't think he's here.
And we got somebody from Nepal. We got Haribol. Raj Kishore Haribol. How was that class? Worthwhile? A little bit spaced out? Make sure everybody over there reads the Leela Amrita. I hope you have it translated.